Alright fellas, here we are back at Pokemon Masters, and tomorrow we're going to get the release of Arcsuit, Lance, and Dragonite, the final main headlining anniversary sync pair for the 5th anniversary, of course. You know, the end of the Arcsuit Scouts, for now. Oh boy, whatever. So, obviously we had Cynthia. Crazy damage dealer, right? Really good damage dealer with some good utility like defense debuffing and obviously ground zone sand and ground rebuff, right? All that stuff. Steven. A god tier supportive character, right? He's got the buffs for the defenses, he's got the champion blue level trainer move, being able to buff ally attack and crit, and also sync moves next. He's got amazing steel enhancement with the steel rebuff, amazing sustainability with the potions, team triage tank, the synchro healing sync move, the damage side of things, flinches, all that good stuff. What does Lance do? Well, Lance takes the aspects of Cynthia's damage and makes it his own with being dragon type. Pretty much. I mean, that's pretty much like that, the thing that I'm getting from Lance here. I've got some very key things that I want to point out about Lance that could be flaws, just being honest. But I do think, legitimately, this guy is really, really good. And I do think he's probably being undersold in some areas. But let's just go ahead and look at him. So he's obviously a multi-sync pair with the Tech EX role. Of course, you know, complete the trio. He's Dragon type. He drops September 1st, leaves October 7th. Good 5 weeks to pull for him. That's a good amount of time, of course. Not with 45,000 gem pity, but whatever. Anyway. He's Dragon Kanto champion, cape, whatever. Stats. These are one thing that can, like, obviously, there's probably, like, a big thing for, like, what people are downplaying about the guy is that his stats are pretty low. Like, 336 offenses are not bad, because especially, of course, when you know, 6-star EX and max and best, he's got over 400. But, of course, it's still, you know, not appetizing to look at, you know, when you see, like, Steven, even Steven, I'm not kidding. If we look at Arcsuit Steven, pretty sure, yeah, higher offensive stat than Lance, which I'm not going to say that's a bad thing for Lance, but, of course, that is, you know, just something to consider, right? Cynthia's got, of course, over 500 in her offensive stat after Mega Evolution. If Dragonite had a Mega Evolution, then we probably wouldn't, you know, wouldn't be too many complaints there, but sadly it is not. But still, I mean, these are not bad, outright bad offensive stats, right? 336 offenses, 198 defenses, 312 speed, 679 HP, and again, with full investment, or at least like 6-star EX, I guess, 6 stars level 150, over 800 health, 394 on both offenses, 248 defenses, and 368 speed. EX roll adds all those by 20, and then it adds HP by 60, so that's nice. Not really bad offensive stats. Decent enough defenses for survivability, good speed, solid enough offenses, and good HP too. So not too shabby there in the stats department. But again, honestly, really did expect better. Really did, but whatever. Anyway. Looking at his moves, the big fun thing with him is that he's got Hyper Beam and Giga Impact. He's got both of them. One of probably the biggest, quote, flaws about regular Lance is the fact that he obviously has the mix between a physical sync move and a special-oriented DPS move. So that kind of, I guess, mixes a little bit up with the synergy of characters you can run with, kind of. Because, of course, he wants to do special damage, but a physical sync nuke kind of just depends, you know, that's kind of an issue he faced. Not really an issue anymore. You've got the choice. If you want to run physical damage, you can run that. If you want to run special damage, you can run that. And you could also run him, of course, with a character like Champion Rosa, who can buff both special and physical moves next, and you're able to make a very effective use of both. So that's awesome. And they're lowered to 2 gauges instead of 4 because of one of the passives that he has. So he's got 2 gauge spammable moves pretty much that are 223 minimum base power. Obviously that's good. Like, that's, you know, where the fact his lower offenses, you know, kind of go away at is that he's got a very strong single target damaging move. Whereas, of course, Cynthia, very, very strong, you know, damaging move as well, but also it's AoE. But she also has an AoE sync move that hits like a fucking truck. So simultaneously, AoE damage, not really that big of a problem, but anyway, whatever. He's got the trainer move Let's Get Serious, which raises his attack and special attack by 6 and crit by 3, applies gradual healing, and applies endurance, and he takes 20% of his HP in damage. Okay, man, yeah, just do half a dozen different fucking things. Good lord. The endurance is nice, the healing's nice, of course. The maxing of offenses is extremely funny. I love that. And the 20% HP is not bad really at all. I do wish Lance had some sort of like wounded sync up or like wounded power, new champion Marnie gimmick where he would got extra power if he like had any amount of health gone, but it doesn't really matter. They just kept the recoil gimmick, they kept the hyper beam gimmick. That's just a thing that's going to be happening with every Lance character, right? And then he's got Almighty Roar Hyper Beam, which is a 2-gauge move, 1 use, 300 minimum power, and it's activated whenever an ally's Pokemon uses the move 3 times. It's like, Champion Calum, Serena, whatever, right? Those type of passives. Well, obviously those require the landing of moves, but that's not really, you get what I mean, right? You just have to use any moves 3 times with an ally. It can be any mix of moves, so the point being, it's very easy to activate. And it never misses. The more the opponent's defenses are lowered, the greater the power of this attack. I don't really know how this passive works in terms of what type of multiplier it would give. Granted, they could just change it anyway, but it's probably either a 30% multiplier or I want to say 60%, but frankly, I don't know. We're just going to have to wait for him to release and then figure that out. Either way, like it's a 300 minimum base power move with at least a 30% multiplier built into it, so it's going to be hitting like a truck. It's a strong move. Big point of like building like with that is that it can give Lance a big like nuking finisher type of attack, and that's really strong, obviously. And of course, it can do some good, and like maybe if you have to like go to like an ultimate battles like endurance level or something like that, and you just are you're pretty far away from it, but you want to hit it or something, the Hyper Beam can probably put you there. Like just building a scenario in my head. Maybe you were running Lance and Arc Suit Cynthia together. You wanted to use Cynthia's nuke for as much damage as possible, but you want to like also break through the endurance or something like that. Use Lance's Hyper Beam, break through the endurance, use Cynthia's nuke. The endurance is already gone, so of course the enemies take a ton more damage. Something like that. That's kind of like that, a little bit of an idea that I'm building with that, but also again, just the idea of a big nuking finisher attack is really, really good. And also, similar concept I was just talking about can probably apply most to Thornton, where he's got the defensive changes on bar switch. So being able to change from, being able to use this to really get to that physical damage as fast as possible is obviously good. Anyway, so those are his moves. He's got 3 moves that are built around being the most high-powered attacks in the game, with Hyper Beam, Giga Impact, and another Hyper Beam. Cool. He's also got his passives, right? He's got Dragon Myth and Dragon Judgment, the Arc Suit passives. The more Dragon types he has on the team, the more extra power-ups and damage reduction he has for the team as well, with up to 30% power buff and a 26% damage reduction. Of course, he does synergize well with any Dragon type, simply because he's able to enhance their... Sorry, he enhances a lot of Dragon types, not really synergizes well with them, but there are tons of good partners to run with him, and varying degrees of quality. Like Lucas, if you want to do Dragon Zone, and like I'm not gonna say debuffing because spoiler, Lance does that. Signasuit Serena, of course, is a good consistent AoE damage dealer. Lance does lack AoE damage, so having Serena there for that is good. Champion Nate, of course, similar case. He's got a very solid nuke, being a striker that can also do AoE damage and get good burst damage with his Outrage Buddy move. There's also like regular Lance, I guess, as well, if you want to do that. Signasuit Cynthia, Alt Leon, Battle Tower Leon, or sorry, those are the same character. Battle Tower Leon, Signasuit Leon, and just a few other Dragon type characters you can run with Lance. The more characters you have, the more you're going to get that power up. Would not recommend running any type of Dragon support, because you're either running Drake, who is super base for having Salamence, very cool, not the greatest sync pair, or Signasuit Brendan, who's definitely a lot better quality than Drake, but still not really up to snuff. It's just better to run someone like Arc Suit Steven, who also has a passive, or Champion Rosa, who also has like a master passive, right? And pretty much any other like Master Fair, Arc Suit, or Arc passive, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, those type of characters are just better to run. Or, just straight up any other support in general that's not Dragon. Don't try and go for Dragon maxing. Just bring someone more efficient for tanking. Anyway, and then of course Dragon Judgment, lowering all enemy rebuffs on entry and raising all ally rebuff on entry as well for the Dragon typing. Just extra Dragon enhancement for the team. Still really good. It's just at this point I've gone over it for Steven and Cynthia. I don't think I need to go over it for Lance too. You get the point. All Dragon types are benefiting from his direct damage enhancement. Duh. Passive skills, your challenge ends with me. Lowers target defense by 6 when the user's physical attack move against it is successful. Lowers the target special defense by 6 stat ranks when the user's attack against it is successful. This is not a first time limited thing, by the way. The first thing to say, oh my god, -6 in the defenses in one turn, pretty strong, right? But the second thing to say is that this is not a one-time use. You can lower the enemy's defenses as much as you want. If they buff them back, they're instantly getting lowered again, and you can hit multiple enemies with it, and they've all got their defenses debuffed. Very good for instant deactivation of things like Fluid Fortification, very good for things like Giovanni's Ultimate Battle, and just, of course, any direct damage enhancement for any character, right? Like, they're instantly getting an extra... Is defense debuffs like 1.8 times in multipliers or something like that? Anyway, point being, they're getting a very, very fast direct enhancement, direct buff without having to like wait for an ally to debuff the defenses slower. Like Arc Suit Steven, fast defensive debuffer, but obviously Lance doing it in one turn makes it a little bit faster. So point being, very strong. The Cape to Dragon Master, normal moves become Dragon, decreases the amount of move gauge slots the user's Pokemon needs to use by 2, and the moves never miss. So, you know, don't have to worry about accuracy checks. Not really. It's just something to add on top of it. And then, of course, you know, the gauge decreased by 2. Again, better gauge efficiency for him. Probably going to help him out quite a lot in solos. We'll probably go into that in a little bit. Whatever. Again, moves never miss. Whatever. You know, Dragon, normal types moves become Dragon moves. They're just good. This is good utility stuff. You know, accuracy check doesn't matter. Gauge efficiency, and then. Of course, they should have been Dragon, duh. Anyway, and then we've been through enough, reducing damage when hit by an attack move or sync move while HP is full, and restores the user's HP when its attack move is successful. So, probably going to be like 7% healing, or whatever it is. I forget the exact number for these type of passives. It's what, like Fist Bump, probably. It's just that same thing. And then obviously reducing damage received when HP is full. It's probably Healthy Buffer 5. It's probably the same thing, 50%. It's because Dragonite's got multi-skill in the main series, right? Of course, when its HP is full, it takes a shitload less damage from any attack. Pretty much unkillable, honestly. Unless you have something like Terravolt to break passives. Anyway, point being, he's got that damage reduction while at full HP. Only bad thing really about that to consider is that this, of course, gives you a recoil, so you'll be at 80% HP, so you got to be a little bit careful. You gotta have some, of course, the healing he gets from this, on top of having gradual healing from the Tyranno move, does help him get back to full faster. But, you know, maybe if they hit you with an AoE turn 1, that's even slower. Again, just point being, there's definitely some instances where it's going to be pretty hard to have Healthy Buffer activated, especially in crucial situations, like, you know, maybe he's getting hit by an ice move or something. Again, you might want to bring him to Thornton's Ultimate Battle for that one. That'll be fun. So just be careful for the most part. Anyway, other than that, he's got the Heroic Ascension Divine Outrage, which the more target special defense is lower, the greater the power of this attack. So he's got Innate Smarty Pants. It's a 300 base power move innate. It gets up improved by the Tech EX roll, right? If we do want to actually look at that. With the Tech EX roll invested and 1 out of 5, he's got 450 power minimum on his sync move, which is really good innate power for sure. And then again, a 100% multiplier on top of that. Then he's got the multi-EX roll effect of lowering all enemy dragon rebuff the first time the sync move is used. So just at 1 out of 5, again, just 1 out of 5, Lance has got -2 dragon rebuff, the dragon buffing arc passive thing, instant defense and special defense debuffs that are repeatable, again, to -6 in one turn, Hyper Beam or Giga Impact, which are 223 base powered minimum moves that are 2 gauges, right, and are meant to hit hard, duh. He's got healing with gradual healing and what is basically Fist Bump, damage reduction when at full HP, maxing of offenses and crit in one turn, duh, no, it's not like that impressive at this standard, but still, and endurance, nice, being able to take those attacks, you know, maybe potion back up, whatever. And then he's got a nuclear DPS move that's 300 power, 2 gauges, whatever, right? That's very easy to activate. Not bad. Not bad at the very least for a Dragon Enhancer, and definitely not bad for a character that's going to be doing consistent damage. Because again, even despite the fact he's only got like 414 maximum in his offensive stat, he's still working off -2 Dragon rebuff, an Arc Fair passive, 223 minimum base power damaging move, -6 defenses / special defense. That's pretty good. That's already pretty good. And that's, again, without multipliers or any other direct enhancement from a character like Champion Rosa, who can buff his special and physical moves next, so you can go for very consistently powerful Hyper Beams and Giga Impacts. Or like other Master Passes from like Arc Fair, Arc Suit Fair, I guess. Arc Suit Steven, right, who's going to be a good partner for him too. Or Champion Nate with his Univa buff and his own Master Passive, whatever. All these characters that can directly buff Lance, not even considering those. He's still got this good stuff here in the game. Why would it be better if he had, honestly, like plus 50 more in the offenses, but still, that's not really that big of a deal when you do consider everything that he's doing, and at the very least, everything he's applying to that team, and not even just himself as an individual character. Which, again, should be looking at him as an individual character, because he is cracked. Whatever, anyway. At 1 out of 5, it doesn't really have a grid here, honestly. And could I say would I recommend going for Lance at 1 out of 5? I mean, sure, honestly. I do think there's going to be some things you may want to have to like look at first, like maybe look at a 1 out of 5 showcase or something to see if his damage actually is really that good, quote unquote, whatever. But I really do think so, honestly. I do think he's worth going for like the other two. I do think Steven and Cynthia are more valuable to go for, but I do not think that discredits the Lance's value either. Just saying. Anyway. At 2 out of 5, Lance gets a plus 20 free attack tile, 2 sync nodes, trainer move MP. I guess, man. I guess. Catalyst, trainer move gauge up, super sinker, natural remedy, gauge refreshes, quick cure. These abilities are not that great. I mean, the plus 20 attack tile and the 2 sync nodes are great. You know, the sync nodes give him literally 500 power, or sorry, 522 power on the sync move. Catalyst for gauge acceleration is nice. These are mostly gauntlet abilities, I guess, because again, like the trainer gives you gradual healing or whatever. And the quick cure, natural remedy, that's good for getting rid of like status changes and status changes. Super sinker, we don't have anything Dragon Week that he can't already just outright destroy. The move gauge doesn't really matter either, again, it's more gauge efficiency, but he's already gauge efficient, right? He's got gauge refresh 2 on both of his moves, and his moves are only 2 gauge usages, right? I don't really think Lance is going to be struggling for gauge, frankly, so I don't really think his 2 out of 5 holds really any value. I mean, again, the sync nodes are nice, but like, just save your candy until you plan to at least 3 out of 5 Lance, where he actually does gain more stuff. He gains a plus 50 sync nuke tile, sync move special and physical boost up 2, hit, paralyze, and flinch, vigilance, insult to injury, trainer with power combo, guaranteed crits, and then recuperation 2. A little bit better, honestly. So Vigilance is nice. Vigilance, if you want to run a different lucky skill and, you're going to be hitting enemies that are fighting enemies that are going to be critting you, this is good for that. Like, if you plan to take him into a longer battle, like, I actually haven't uploaded the 3 out of 5 Arc Suit Steven showcase yet, which I'm still working on that. Don't worry. I'm going to get it out. I'm not working on it. I just need to voice over it. I ended up going through Argento with 9 sync buffs on the team, so clearly that battle lasted a half hour. So if having Vigilance be able to be run on Lance over the Lucky Skill slot and still being able to run like Critical Strike 2 or whatever does provide quite a bit of value, or at least it can, so just something to consider. Especially when it's right next to the Sync Move Physical and Special Boost 2 tile, where he's getting plus 2 physical and special moves next after using his sync move. This will be, again, direct. It's like Cynthia's innate passive for her innate multi. What the fuck whatever you call it. The innate effect of her sync move, where she gets physical moves next after using her sync move. Pretty much that, but Lance also gets special moves next too, which is again directly enhancing his next Hyper Beam impact, or of course, the Almighty Roar Hyper Beam too, if you're gonna be, tapping that button. He also gets another plus 2 sync nodes. Let me just, not forget those. Hit, flinch, and paralyze 2 for a 30% chance to make the enemy flinch and 30% chance to leave them paralyzed. This is a gauntlet check ability, if anything. I don't think the flinch has really any good consistency to be super viable, at least consistently in like an ultimate battle or most other content. If you're like really dedicated to getting a clear, or maybe like ranking in the upcoming Dragon Ground High Score event, that flinch, that godly flinch luck is probably gonna, bring something to the table for sure. But geez, I'd say this is mostly a gauntlet ability, honestly, which I do want to talk about that when we're done looking at the rest of this. Anyway, again, more sync nodes. So with the plus 50 sync nuke tile and the 4 plus 25 tiles, Lance gets over 600 damage. What the fuck? Over 600 raw power on his sync nuke. That is literally the highest in the game. I don't even know who the next highest is. Fucking regular Lance? No, I think Palmer's is like... No, Palmer's not 500. Is it? Actually, wait, it might be. Hold Polemar's, I think, Polemar's might be like 540. That or it's his max move, and I don't remember. 360. Yeah, no, Polemar's is 540, right? Okay, so I guess like Polemarm would probably be the next highest. But man, 645 base damage with an innate sync nuke multiplier, right? That's pretty crazy. That's pretty nuts. Also, I just want to mention the plus 20 attack tile. You know, that does help with his middling offenses, but anyway, I digress. Also, he's got plus, I guess this is something to note, I guess, if you want to really run these tiles. Plus 20 special attack right there. Yeah, so there's that too. Anyway, he's got insult to injury, a actual multiplier for his damaging moves, a 30% multiplier for hyper beam and Giga Impact. Obviously, that's good. On top of, again, the rebuff and potential zone from like Nate or Master Passes or Arc Suit Passes, whatever Lance is going to be getting. He's got insult to injury now, an actual 30% dedicated multiplier. Combine that with critical strike 2 as a lucky skill or whatever, and Lance, of course, is getting, you know, good multipliers now for his damage. Turn with power combo for physical and special moves next buffs when the move is successful. I don't think it's really worth picking up, honestly, because he doesn't have any sync buffs early on when he's going to be using Hyper Beam and Giga Impact initially. Also, he's trying to debuff the enemy defenses at that point as well, so I really don't think this provides a lot of value at all. Guaranteed crits. Obviously, him being, you know, there's that caveat of, actually, I'm trying to think about the value of this. I don't think there's really any situation where his regular moves are going to be unable to crit. Like, this doesn't give him piercing blows, so he doesn't hit through enemy, like, crit protection passives as is anyway. And he's got plus 3 crit in the you know, trainer move, right? So he clearly doesn't really care much about, you know, being able to crit on his regular moves. It's more of his sync move where you've got that, you know, regular 80% chance to crit even at plus 3 crit bullshit. This is what that's trying to like make up for, but I don't think it's that valuable. He's a single target nuke anyway. I just don't really think it's that great. And then he's got recuperation 2, restoring his HP by 40% after using the sync move. This is his consistent form of healing, on top of having gradual healing and the innate fist bump on his passives. And this is probably what's given him a lot of good call utility. I thought about it. I haven't really consulted pretty much anyone on this, but if I'm not mistaken, isn't Lance capable of soloing every legendary arena similar as Steven? He's got the damage to be able to blitz through most stages. Like, obviously, Latios isn't going to be a trouble. Latios, you got the debuffs for. You've got, again, the healing, right? The healing is going to be able to help you stay up in those fights, right? What else is there? Like, Azelf, he's got the mixed offenses to cover. Yuxi, you've got the paralysis to cover the first bar and the third bar, and you probably got the ability to bar skip the second bar anyway. That's probably not that big of a problem with Yuxi. Registeel, the crit protection, I don't think it matters. Lance hits hard enough as it is. Raikou doesn't really care. He again just doesn't care. Terrakion is going to be his biggest roadblock. Tornadus again doesn't care because he's got paralysis. Moltres. I think he can just blitz Moltres, and he's got 30% flinches anyway. I think he legitimately can probably just blitz through Moltres. There's a decent chance anyway. Again, those flinches, he's got the flinch luck, right? He's got the flinches to handle Moltres. And then again, I think Terrakion is literally going to be his biggest roadblock because of 80% damage reduction on bar 3, and he also can't debuff offenses, so Terrakion's going to have maxed offenses by that point, unless you like bar skip, which is fair, but still, Terrakion's going to have really high offenses. And that's probably like the most struggling he's going to have because you're going to be having to break through 80% damage reduction. But honestly, I don't even think that'll be that big of a problem. You may need some decent flinch luck, 30% chance and all that junk, but he still probably can do it. I honestly think there's definitely a great shot that Lance can be another 14 out of 14 for the legendary arenas. I don't think I'm missing anyone. Again, I looked at this yesterday, so his two big ones that he's going to have to be like fighting through are definitely going to be probably Moltres and Terrakion, but with Moltres, it's mostly just like a flinch check because he's got the damage. The damage is not that big of a problem. It's mostly just like, can you take a like one? Can I just flinch a few of these flare blitz heat wave overheat bullshits, right? Can you flinch those? And then Terrakion is like, you're probably going to need better flinch luck because you're dealing with 80% damage reduction, which Lance can do really good damage anyway, so he might not even care. Point being, good stuff for that. Other than that, of course, he's still got, this is the direct, he's got a ton of good damage stuff too. He just outright. He's got the 30% multiplier here. He's got a ton of Sync Nuke stuff. And he's got the Sync move, physical boost, and special boost next here as well. This is going to be very, very good nuclear damage for after using his Sync move. You can use Hyper Beam, then you can use Giga Impact. Then you'll have one that's not boosted by moves up next, at least not from the passive. And then you'll have your Sync move again where you'll repeat it. That's not a bad thing to consider, obviously. I'd say the one thing that's bad is that, of course, reaching all these Sync nodes is going to be pretty much impossible. So you are going to be having to, run away with some of those. Recuperation's good, honestly. Like, any game mode, recuperation is really good because that is also bringing back his damage reduction. That's a way. That's actually a good way how he can deal with Moltres, is having that damage reduction. Now that I think about it. Thoughts for later. Anyway. That's good, though. That of course, that's good. That brings back the multi-scale, if you heal enough, anyway. He's got the insult to injury, which I think is something you're probably going to want to always bring, because it is an even bigger direct enhancement to his nuclear buddy move here. Jeez, I hate that. Sure, like, you can run that. This gives you basically have to run training move NPR. It sucks. Oh well. What else is there? This is one Sync tile here. He's got Vigilance. There's really nothing else to actually run here, because this is the you pretty much want all these anyway. It's like, what are you gonna do? Skip Vigilance? You're gonna have to pick up these 2 nodes anyway. Just pick up Vigilance at that point. I would probably just ignore this tile and then I guess get these -1 energy. That's fine, So you're picking up 3 of his 4 Sync tiles anyway. I don't know. I guess this is probably a good grid to run. Sorry, no. Okay, so there you go. You're good. This is probably a good grid to run for Lance at 3 out of 5. Though, really, I do think there is a lot of cases where you might want recuperation, because bringing back that multi-scale healthy buff, or whatever you want to call it, is really, really good to consider. It's just so expensive, man. So expensive. 19 energy. Of course, you can sacrifice Sync buffs for it. I don't know. Also, what's his cookie again? I'm pretty sure it's not good. Yeah. Oh, sorry. He's got Initial Guard. Yeah, no, not really worth running over Critical Strike. Yeah, no, really just not worth running over Critical Strike. I don't think ever. I mean, it's whatever, I guess. And even over a Critical Strike, like, you've still got guard passes for, like, Legendary Arenas or even longer Ultimate Battles or something. Like, if I'm going to be facing Thornton with Lance, I'm either running Critical Strike 2 or I'm running Ice Guard. I don't think I'll ever run Initial Guard over those. Anyway, I don't know. I really don't know how to build Lance with recuperation here. I guess this is pretty much getting rid of Sync nodes and just, like, calling it a day. I don't know. I do think you really want to still be able to pick up Insult to Injury. I guess, man, something like that. Anyway, whatever. I mean, 3 out of 5 isn't the stopping point for Lance anyway. I really do think, like, 3 out of 5 is good. Again, you get the Sync nodes, you get the special and physical moves next, you get the insult to injury, you get all that good stuff, whatever. And it's probably a good enough stopping point for, like, a legendary gauntlet. But 4 out of 5 gets relentless. This is another Sync Nuke multiplier, and this really is probably just really worth getting. Like, I'm pretty conflicted on how I want to showcase Lance now anyway, just because he gains so much from 4 out of 5 via Relentless that it's pretty much just a waste to showcase him at 3 out of 5 when you I think most people should just straight up go to 4 out of 5. Relentless is so good. It gives him 200% Sync Nuke multipliers, again, with that 600 plus base power Sync move, if you are able to, pick up all those Sync tiles, which, by the way, it's still 600 plus even if you do pick up, this grid or whatever it is, right? This is still 642, my god, it's fucking Lance. Because you got the 4 out of 5, right? And if you're able to somehow pick up this Sync node by, like, the miracle of God, then, if you want to just forego picking up Insult to Injury for whatever reason, I guess, and pick that up, you can. Then, of course, that's, nearly 700. Or, sorry, no, 667, right? Yeah, 4 out of 5 is just so good. He gets Relentless, so he's got 200% nuking multipliers with a 667 base power Sync nuke. Oh boy. And then 5 out of 5, 690 giggity in the Sync nuke power, and then he gets Rebuff. Another node of Rebuff. Lowers enemy Dragon Rebuff by 1 the first time the Sync with targeting the opponent successfully each battle. This can only activate once per battle. It doesn't matter, because that's -3 Dragon Rebuff. -3, unless you're facing Argenta or some crap, gimmicky ass, you're getting -3 Dragon rebuff with one character. That's nuts. Obviously, that's really good. That is really good. I still think like 4 to 5 is his like really good sweet spot in terms of investment, because the difference between, you know, obviously 4 to 5, the -2 Dragon rebuff and -3 Dragon rebuff is only 10%. The first Dragon rebuff is 30%, the next one brings that up to 50%, and the next one brings that up to 60%. So 10% damage extra. Good, right? Obviously, if you're going to be getting Lance to 5 out of 5 for whatever reason anyway, you know, you're getting a free 10% multiplier on top of the extra, you know, base power in the sync move and damaging moves and whatever, right? But for just in terms of like cost for investment, I think 4 to 5 is your best sweet spot. Like if you really want to just be able to use Lance at a very, very good level where you are getting as much out of him as possible, and you're not trying to like break your bank, whatever. 4 to 5 is the sweet spot. Again, Relentless is so good to consider if you're actually, you know, trying to do as much damage with him as possible, which is pretty much what you should be trying to do because that's his big thing. But again, 5 out of 5, if you are going to be investing into that point, does have legitimate value. That 10% extra damage is good. Duh. Right? Obviously, it's a far better investment than if you were to take any like seasonal character or any character that doesn't have 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 tiles and take them from 3 out of 5 to 5 out of 5. Those characters get a direct power buff to their moves and sync moves as well, but then Lance also gets 10% rebuff on top of that, which is also a direct power buff to the whole team. Not only Lance, but again, the whole team as well. So his 5 out of 5 does carry more value in that regard too, to where he's not only increasing his damage, he's also increasing the entire team's damage, assuming you're running him with other dragon characters, like again, Champion Nate, or Battle Tower Leon, or Signatus Arena, or whoever you're running him with, that's going to be getting a buff from his Arc Suit passive and his -2, now -3 Dragon rebuff. So yeah, Lance, is he good? Duh, clearly, like, people are downplaying this man too much. Again, he's got a lot. He's got 200% sync multipliers off of a near 700 base power sync move. He's got -3 in the Dragon rebuff. He's got spammable 267 base power moves. He's got a nuclear buddy move here with his own innate multiplier, as well as, again, having that 30% multiplier from insult to injury in the grid. He's got good gauntlet abilities with recuperation, the endurance, the gradual healing, the fist bump, whatever, the damage reduction on entry, which is good in pretty much any mode as well. The only thing that I don't like about that is that he does take recoil on recoil here, so of course that does deactivate his quote multi-scale initially, so you do have to find a way to build around that, whether it be by, you know, not using it first turn and then using it, you know, later in the battle, whatever. That's you know, fair enough. But point being, you do have to, again, kind of play around with that. But honestly, that's like the least of your worries with this guy. And again, I do think his offenses can look a little low. They can, legitimately. I do think they should have been better if he wants to be even more cracked, but I think he's plenty cracked enough as is. And definitely a great buff for Dragon as a type, obviously. So yeah, let me know what you think about Arc Suit Lance down in the comments below. The guy's crazy. I do love it. I'm going to be definitely using him and having a lot of fun with him. I'm still so conflicted about how I want to do a showcase, because again, I'm going to do a 1 out of 5 showcases as always, but I don't know if I should go to 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5. I plan on 5 out of 5ing all these Arc Suits anyway, with, you know, whatever, and then doing their 5 out of 5 showcases in a few weeks. But I really just don't know if I should 4 out of 5 Lance for his, quote, 3 out of 5 showcase, just because he gains so much value from 4 out of 5, as opposed, especially like as opposed to like Steven and Cynthia. Like Cynthia gets, what does she get again? She gets the +2 physical moves next off the sync move. That's good. That's extra damage. It's still a good tile. Duh. It's not as important though as an extra 100% multiplier on a character that already wants to nuke. And in Steven's case, he gets attack and special attack debuffs, which honestly, I think that is somewhat comparable. We're not really ready for that discussion. Point being, that's a really good spot for a character who really just wants to do damage. 4 out of 5 is something you really should invest in. I would not say 3 out of 5 is the stopping point for him for anybody. I would say like 4 out of 5 is what you should be willing to invest into this guy if you're going to be giving him any candies. 2 out of 5 is useless, 3 out of 5 is good, 4 out of 5 is the sweet spot, and 5 out of 5 is kind of overkill, but still also a good investment because of what he gets. So yeah, let me know how much you're going to invest into Lance in the comments below. Let me know if you're going to be pulling him at all. Good luck on your summoning, good luck on your skipping. And of course, you know, summons will be out tomorrow. I do have a birthday party to go to tomorrow, so I will be probably late again on getting all the showcases out for him. Sorry, that's just how my week's been. Anyway, yeah, whatever. I'll see y'all later. I hope y'all enjoyed.